Peter, turning to you, the title of the webinar is Material Master Data Governance for Your Capital Projects Made Simple. You have the scars on your back from many such projects. What is so revolutionary about the data governance module within CaseSpir, and what is the real problem that it's solving?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Jonathan. Before I answer, may I also thank everyone for attending today. It's great to see the level of interest in our webinars. It's absolutely fantastic. So managing the spares process in capital projects involves multiple work streams, starting with data extraction and the data cleansing processes. Alakan's just demonstrated one of the key challenges that CaseSpir immediately solves. You no longer have to do all this extraction. The cleansing can be done within the system. And the other immediate thing it solves is you've got live updates. Immediately you can see the dashboard, you can see what's going on, and you can track the progress of the project. So when you've got spur forms, there's lots of hidden information, and to try and see that. Now, if you go back to the old process, when you start a capital project using spreadsheets, each spur line in all the hundreds of spur documents has to be extracted and collated into a single document. This document is then processed by a data team, that might be a third party. The data is cleansed in a two-step process. First, the class name, often now modifier, is assigned to each record. And then, having assigned the class to each record, you have to hunt for signs of useful information, such as property values, that can be used to identify what the OM is trying to sell you. In the CaseSpir Material Master module, we've added the ability for the owner-operator to include their data specification templates in the spur collection form, solving one of the key problems of disconnected work streams. And let's be clear, just adding this functionality brings immediate and significant manpower savings. These disconnected work streams end with updating the ERP system of the results of the spur process into the ERP system via a data governance process. Again, we've integrated this work stream into the CaseSpir platform. So subscribing to the CaseSpir data governance module, you've signed up for a continuous improvement process that synchronizes the source ERP system and mirrors the workflow and the permissions of that system.
Peter, that's really great. Thank you very much indeed. So Alakan, coming back to you, can you remind us of how the Material Master module assists with the cleansing of the spares data from the OEM?
Cool, sure. As I've shown, and Peter talked about, the CaseSpir allows you to create data specifications, and these can be of different types. As we saw before, there are spur specifications, but also the raw material specifications, or as we call them, items of supply, or you might refer to them as noun modifiers. And let's take a look at one example. For example, this deep groove ball bearing specification. We can see here once again that the owner operator is able to control all the properties, all the values and representation that goes into this material. And let's see now how this data specification is embedded into a spur document. So if we go back to the documents page and view one of those that we've looked at before, for example, this, we are able to see that once the manufacturer has filled in a spare part class name that you have a data specification for, they will then be prompted to fill in the characteristic data. You can see here all the properties that were used that were filled in the data specification, and all of those that are highlighted as red are required fields. So the manufacturer will not be able to submit an incomplete document or incomplete material description. And why this is particularly important for deduplicating and in general data cleansing is because if you can see here in this column potential duplicates, we are able to provide you with intelligence in terms of, okay, for example, these two items have already been linked together, and you can see that, so on another document, there is the same item that is being requested. And we are also able to offer suggestions on potential duplicates. So for example, we're saying here that the manufacturer part number is the same, although the manufacturer name is a bit different. So maybe we're saying it's a potential duplicate, and we're just making a suggestion. And if you believe it is correct, you can simply click and link these items together so that the engineers will know when they're reviewing the document that this item also appears on this other document. However, if we now go to the Analyze page, here, for example, one of the reports allows us to see how many duplicates have already been identified across all the spir documents. We can also see in the summary a breakdown of costs based on spare part class name. And let's have a look at one of them. For example, since we've started with bearings, let's have a look. We can configure whichever properties we like here. This is an aggregated view of all the spare lines across all the spare documents. And if we choose something useful here, then now we can see all of the deep groove ball bearings in all of the documents. And let's make a simple deduplication. For example, these two items have already been linked together because they have the same manufacturer part number, they have the same manufacturer name, and you can see they have the same mapping number, so they have been linked together. However, let's have a look at these two. These two have different manufacturers and different part numbers. However, because we're able to see the material description that has been filled in by manufacturer to the level, to the quality level that you want, that you set out using the data specification, we're able to compare these material descriptions and say, okay, these items are actually the same, so why don't we group them together? And this is one of the simpler examples. However, and often is the case where the manufacturer has not given you the original part number, and he has provided you with an internal like reference number. And however, again, because they have been forced to fill in the material description, we're able to see and compare these two and say that it's actually the same bearing that is just being called differently. And we can also group these items together. And if we want to make a very simple purchasing decision, we can simply compare that, for example, the prices that are being charged for these items are 10 times higher than for this item, but it is actually the same item. So if I was you, I would just select all of these and say, okay, I'm not going to buy any from this supplier, and any from this supplier, and I'm just going to buy 6 from this supplier instead. And just like that, we've saved tens of thousands of dollars.